In the early 1970s, a librarian at the United States Department of Agriculture received a simple request: a copy of a film her own department had produced in 1942. Her answer was blunt. No such film existed. No record of it. No copy in any archive. She was wrong on all three counts. It was 1942. American warships needed rope. Parachutes needed webbing. Uniforms needed thread. And the Navy's primary source, Manila hemp from the Philippines, was cut off by the Japanese occupation that same year. The U.S. government had a problem. Its solution was a plant it had spent the previous 5 years aggressively criminalizing. The USDA commissioned a propaganda film that ran 14 minutes and was titled Hemp For Victory. It was directed by Raymond Evans and produced on a modest government budget. The film taught farmers how to plant, harvest, and process hemp for the war effort. It was practical. It was earnest. And in retrospect, it was deeply strange. The film opens with a history lesson. Hemp, the narrator explains, has been cultivated since ancient times. Its fibers carried ships across oceans. It built empires. The USDA in 1942 was telling America that hemp was not just acceptable. It was a patriotic duty, a weapon in the fight against the Axis powers. Farmers in Kentucky and across the Midwest were shown exactly what to do. Sow in April or May. Harvest in August. Use a hemp break machine to separate the fiber from the woody core. The USDA even provided the seeds at no cost. In 1943 alone, American farmers planted over 146,000 acres of hemp across the country. The film was distributed to farmers' cooperatives, 4-H clubs, and agricultural extension offices nationwide. It was seen widely, and then almost as quickly as it appeared, it vanished. After 1945, the war was over, and so was the government's immediate need for hemp fiber. The film slipped into obscurity, but something else happened after the war. The Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 had already made cannabis heavily regulated. In the post-war years, the cultural and legal tide turned decisively against any form of cannabis. The plant the government had called a patriotic duty was now being rebranded as a moral menace and a public safety threat. By the 1950s, mandatory minimum sentences for marijuana possession were federal law. The Boggs Act of 1951 and the Narcotics Control Act of 1956 imposed increasingly harsh penalties, including mandatory prison time for first-time possession. The film that had told farmers to grow hemp was now a liability, a piece of evidence that the government had once endorsed the very plant it was now waging war against. So the film disappeared, not officially suppressed, not ordered destroyed, but quietly, completely forgotten. No one cataloged it. No one mentioned it. The USDA itself lost track of its own production. When researchers and cannabis advocates began asking about it in the early 1970s, the USDA's official position was that no such film had ever been made. But the film had not been destroyed. Copies survived in the Library of Congress and in the hands of private collectors. One of the earliest people to locate a print was a researcher who walked into the Library of Congress and simply asked for it. It was there, sitting on a shelf, while the USDA continued to claim it did not exist. Cannabis activist and author Jack Herer later championed the film's rediscovery, featuring it prominently in his work. The USDA's denial, combined with the film's very real existence, made Hemp for Victory an underground sensation. It was screened at hemp festivals and passed around on bootleg VHS tapes for years before the internet made it universally accessible. The irony was not lost on anyone. The same federal government that was at that moment arresting hundreds of thousands of Americans for marijuana possession had, 30 years earlier, produced a cheerful instructional film teaching farmers how to grow the exact same species of plant, cannabis sativa. Same genus, same species, opposite message. The rediscovery of Hemp for Victory became a rallying point for the cannabis reform movement. It was proof, captured on actual government film stock, that the criminalization of cannabis was not rooted in any consistent principle. It was policy by amnesia. A film made to help win a world war ended up fueling a culture war instead. Today, Hemp for Victory stands as one of the strangest artifacts in American film history. It is a public domain film because it was produced by the U.S. government at taxpayer expense. That means anyone can watch it, share it, remix it, or sample it freely. The film the USDA claimed did not exist is now permanently, irrevocably available to the entire world. The story of Hemp for Victory is not really about hemp. It is about how institutions write and rewrite their own history. A film can be made, distributed to millions, and then denied into non-existence, all within a single generation. The USDA librarian who said no such film existed was not lying. She simply did not know what her own institution had done. And that might be the most unsettling part of all. If you enjoyed this deep dive, follow The Real Vault. We crack open the strangest films in the public domain and tell the real stories behind them. A new film, a new story, every single week. The archives are vast, and we are just getting started.